There is a place so narrow, yet so powerful, that the fate of the global economy passes through it every single day. A stretch of water so tight that ships can barely pass in formation, yet so critical that one disruption could shake the price of oil across the world. This is the Strait of Hormuz. At the crossroads of the Middle East lies one of the most important choke points on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and beyond. Every day, massive oil tankers pass through this narrow channel, carrying energy that powers cities, industries, and economies across continents. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil consumption flows through this single point. From Asia to Europe to North America, fuel, plastics, electricity, and transport all depend on what passes through these waters. And yet, this critical artery is only a few kilometers wide at its narrowest point, a fragile gateway, holding up a global system worth trillions. To the north lies Iran, to the south, the Sultanate of Oman. Strait of Hormuz sits between these two strategic regions, forming a natural bottleneck between the oil-rich Gulf states and the open ocean. At its narrowest point, the shipping lanes are only a few kilometers wide in each direction. One lane for incoming ships, one for outgoing. That means every vessel must pass through a tightly controlled corridor, making navigation both precise and vulnerable. It is not just geography. It is strategic leverage carved by nature itself. For centuries, this waterway was important for trade. But in the modern era of oil dependence, its significance has multiplied beyond imagination. Oil is not just a resource, it is the lifeblood of modern civilization. From jet fuel powering aviation, to diesel running global logistics, to petrochemicals in everyday products, the world runs on energy transported through global sea lanes. And much of that energy begins its journey in the Persian Gulf, before passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait depend heavily on this route to export their oil to global markets. If this passage were disrupted, even briefly, global supply chains would feel the shock within hours. Prices would rise, markets would panic, governments would respond, all from a narrow stretch of sea. Because of its importance, the Strait of Hormuz has also become one of the most sensitive maritime regions in the world. Military presence is constant. Naval patrols from regional and international forces monitor the waters closely. Any political tension in the region often sends immediate ripples through global energy markets. Threats to block or restrict passage, whether real or perceived, can cause oil prices to spike instantly. For nations that rely heavily on imported energy, this strait is not just a distant waterway. It is a matter of economic security. And for exporting nations, it is their gateway to global influence. This balance of dependency creates a constant undercurrent of tension. Behind every tanker passing through these waters are thousands of people working to keep the global energy system moving. Engineers, sailors, port operators, refinery workers, and market analysts all depend on the uninterrupted flow of trade. A single large tanker can carry millions of barrels of oil, enough to power cities for days. Multiply that by dozens of ships daily, and the scale becomes almost unimaginable. This narrow strait is not just a line on a map. It is a living artery of the global economy. As the world begins to shift toward renewable energy, Questions arise about the long-term dependence on choke points, like the Strait of Hormuz. New pipelines, alternative shipping routes, and energy diversification strategies are being developed. Yet for now, oil still dominates global energy consumption. That means the Strait of Hormuz remains as vital today as it has ever been. A narrow passage, carrying enormous global weight. It is easy to look at a map and see only a thin line of water. But within that line lies the movement of global trade, the stability of economies, and the energy that powers modern life. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a sea passage. It is one of the most important gateways on Earth. And its story is still being written, with every ship that passes through its waters